Okay, well, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast. This is episode 73, and as always, I have here with me Arthur
Me,
Sozens. Arthur Sozens with his noisy computer fan, or not, sometimes.
sometimes, yeah. Hopefully not most of the time.
Yeah, okay, let's see. But we are here to talk about some interesting topics that have been happening in the JavaScript world. And we are going to just give a quick review of the topics. Let me share some screens here. Okay, I think you can see it now, right? First, just give a brief update on WebAssembly. As we have been mentioning in the past, WebAssembly is a language like assembly that is browser independent. Um, it is meant to somehow run JavaScript code faster. So JavaScript code will be compiled into WebAssembly and it will run on the browsers faster. So the next topic that I will comment, just to mention that async and await, which are features of ECMAScript 6, are finally available in Firefox, at least nightly build. So that is the news. Next, we are going to talk about uh, uh, a package that is basically a query and a transformation language that is used to manipulate JSON data. So it's called JSON8, the package. Then we talk about Turbo.js, which is let me scroll here, which is a library. I think there was some other library similar or for similar purpose, which is to control how to execute tasks using the GPU from JavaScript. So you can perform tasks much faster, taking advantage of the GPU that may be running on your machine. Then we will be talking about debug your DOM history using warlong.js. So basically, it will allow you to see what changes happen to your pages, what DOM nodes were changed throughout a period of time. And finally, we have an interesting article about something that I'm not yet sure how it works, but it seems interesting. It's all over graphic.js. It's a Windows component to implement holographic applications. But we'll get back to see that in a moment. Now we are going to start again, talking again about WebAssembly. We have talked about WebAssembly before, but it was something that was in progress.
Yeah, before WebAssembly was always a standard to do this by basically nothing tangible. But now, as we see in this preview, in this announcement, there is a preview for it actually. So what it should do, it should allow you to create one binary that could be run in any browser very efficiently. I tried to find any browser-related implementation tutorials and couldn't find any. There are just tutorials on the GitHub how to compile itself and convert the code, and then build this environment and how to use it. So I don't think you can really use it in the browser specifically right now, only through the WebAssembly, some kind of executable.
Yeah, well, I was hoping for it says the browser at the end of browser preview period, the binary version will be reset to 0x1, whatever that means.
Next version, I guess.
Uh, I don't know. So, is there anything that we can see, or just talking about
No,
something?
as I said, I don't think you can do anything in the browser. You actually need to uh, pull the repository, compile it with CMake, use CMake to build everything, and then you can use the executable to convert some code that you wrote to an executable to binary, I think, and execute it maybe. Uh, Really not much to see yet, but the ones that are really interested in how this is going on, they can set up everything and try it out and provide feedback for the project, which I think they would really appreciate.
Yeah, this. Well, I think. Well, what would you expect? Would you expect to see maybe some benchmarks, code running?
So I'm waiting. Yeah, when I see the benchmarks comparing to the same SMJS and ECMAScript converted applications and stuff like that.
Yes, I guess I need to have one of those articles like in PHP classes blog that compares the versions of PHP, the performance of PHP over time. So you'll see the evaluation of performance of JavaScript over time and
Yeah.
compiling to WebAssembly. So for now, there is not much to say, but well, this is a project that is in progress. So moving on to the next topic, also to mention something briefly, which is about the async and await support that this time is available in Firefox. As I mentioned before, it was made available on Firefox, I mean on Chrome. Before it was just a specification for ECMAScript 6. So now it is available
I
on
think if
Firefox too.
yeah, I think if you would have a poll of ECMAScript features, then this was the most awaited one. So basically, this is the most wanted one, and I think most of the users who used some kind of transpilers to use the feature were using them specifically for this feature because it's really easy is the writing of the um,
Yeah.
function. So
Well, what I wonder if it is possible to have a transpiler that converts this second await code to something that runs in browsers that only support ECMAScript 5, also
yes.
known as regular JavaScript. Isn't it because it was something possible with the ECMAScript 5 already, probably with different names?
No, well,
Maybe a library?
not specifically. It just I think it parses the code and does some execution order, like checks when the promises are resolved, and then continues executing the code or something like that. So it probably has some kind of hack, but it's probably ugly.
Yeah. So it's not the same thing, or it's just emulation?
Yeah, well,
Sync and await.
yeah. Of course, it's an emulation, and the syntax with async and await is much easier to read and understand and use
Yes,
than to use the
that
full
that
promise.
is for sure. What I meant is that if you can do it with ECMAScript 5, why aren't there libraries to implement that
There
somehow?
are. They are called transpilers.
No, those not transpilers. It's just something that converts your code. I mean, libraries that you could call from uh, regular ECMAScript 5 code. It's weird. I don't know what gets in the way to implement this. Because what I understand by sync and await is that there is always an event loop
Yeah.
that calls different uh, sources of events. And if there is no event pending, it just slips like for a microsecond, or
Yeah.
until there is something new, until there is some data on a file to read, or a network socket, or something else. So I don't know. Maybe this could be implemented without even transpilers or
Yeah.
not.
Well, I think that, of course, it all can be implemented using the callbacks or promises, and it all have worked before, but it's an ugly solution. Async Innovate does the same thing, only in much better syntax.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but well, even it is interesting because it seems they took some time to implement it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, your browser supports it. Nice.
yeah, because it's Chrome. Uh, and here is a demo. If your browser supports natively, you'll see yes. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, well, because if it was possible to do that with the library, maybe it could be a polyfill that we could use it already.
The problem
So
with it because it's a separate syntax. It's a new syntax, and the language itself needs to understand it without parsing it before and interpreting
yeah,
it.
right. But well, for instance, here in the example, it's a sync function. Maybe you could call create a function named async, then put a parenthesis here, and then if it is, I don't know, maybe I'm imagining things. Anyway, what are your plans? Can you use it already in the Node.js version that you are using, or not yet?
Not sure. I don't think we have gone that way yet. I have not checked, and I don't think anyone in our team uses it for now because we are not using any transpilers. So
You are using
probably
transpilers
not.
or not?
No, no, we are not.
But I think you mentioned
Only use
before
what?
somebody you knew used transpilers. It was not in your team.
No, no. Well, I have lots of friends, also just developers, and yeah,
They know.
some of them were using like Babel and many stuff like that because they couldn't wait for the all the
Right.
nice stuff.
So you are not eager to use async await.
No, not yet.
We have not figured a good use case that it would be great to have.
Well, I don't know. Every new thing needs get used to time because well, we have some new members on the team that use the new ECMAScript features quite a lot, and when I review their code, it's actually much harder to grasp at first because I'm just not used to it yet. So that's probably why I'm still not using lots of stuff like function binding and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think it would be great, but I know there is Facebook Hack that supports async and await, but since I'm not using Facebook Hack, uh, I'm not doing anything that could rely uh, on async and await. Uh, I don't know which could be good use cases for this. Maybe I could make a good use case like sending newsletters to many thousands of people. So instead of send one newsletter message after another, I could maybe create some routines that run in parallel, and it would be asynchronous code, and would run like 10 deliveries at the same time. and wait and see if I could gain any speed with that. Because sometimes it's not really a big advantage. I don't know.
Yeah, it's mostly that it would be easier to write, and everywhere where you need to execute lots of things in parallel and then wait until everything that ends and then continue some other code, the async await would come in handy. There are of course
Yeah.
patterns of doing it, like async.js library or promises and stuff like that.
Yeah. I wonder what our big audience in the chat room thinks about this. So anybody that has opinions, feel free to let tell us if you want to are planning to use async and await once it becomes widely adopted, or you just probably would rather just do the things in the traditional way, because it's really a thing that needs to be planned, not just something that oh, here is async and await, and your code will automatically run faster. Okay. So, given this, the next topic. I have so many windows open that I even lost them. Well, the next topic is about JSON ARTA, a query and transformation language to process JSON data. Well, for me, when I look at this, what it looked like, it's like XPath.
Yeah, I think they mention it in the description too.
Yeah, or the regular selectors, but or no, it's not XPath, it's XSL. Remember that XSL?
No, I don't think so.
No, it was before the year 2000.
I wasn't a programmer that year yet. So.
That explains why you are very young. It was on when Microsoft decided that everything should be XML. So if you wanted to generate a page, you got some XML from which probably would be the database queries results, and then you have XSL. XML, I don't know even. Then there will be XSLT, which basically would be to transform XML into something else. And I didn't see much feature in that, but for a while, Microsoft insisted on it, and they even defined SOAP as a standard for web services that is also based on XML. But that's a whole thing. I don't think did you ever use anything of SOAP? Web services?
Not really, I think.
Yeah, it was too complicated to be useful. Why bother to build an XML just to pass a few parameters? And then JSON became more interesting for people to use to exchange data, because it is typed, it is portable, because most languages have some support to process JSON. But this library here seems to be something more, not just to parse, but also to transform, right?
Well, not transform maybe, but return results. I don't know, I have found here one tutorial on the GitHub page, and basically, so they provide an example object and then an expression which would provide specific output. At first, it all seems kind of very logical that you query some specific property or sub-properties, or even an array you would query with specific elements. Always good, all
Yeah.
works, and
So,
all
oh,
understandable.
the tutorial is one listed at the bottom.
Yeah, and then there are some expressions uh, more interesting. That, for example, if you have dollar sign that refers to the entire input document, like a root or document root object, and then there are expressions with wildcards, and then there are predicates, and uh, I think there were some kind of uh, functions to find those programming constructs, because in the end it all became yeah. So there are functions like uppercase, substring, sum. In the end, it all became so complex that it needs some a bit of learning curve. But all in all, yeah, it's a nice feature. It kind of reminds me of what MongoDB has for aggregation framework. In their aggregation pipeline, you also need to learn how it exactly works, and then when you grasp it, you can do lots of interesting stuff with it. So this seems kind of
Yeah.
similar to it.
Well, this seems very like XSLT. I didn't use it much, but it was from the days that people needed to process. I don't know. Do you think you need to process JSON somehow in a way that would justify having a transformation language like this?
Um, well, the only thing I can come up when it would be quite needed is when you would want to provide an UI interface to process it. Then your interface would generate these expressions, and then you would execute them, and then it would be quite handy. All in all, if I would do it programmatically, I would do it programmatically without specific expressions, I think.
Yeah, I think people will end up doing programmatically, and that's it. Well, that's what I think. I may be wrong. Well, it all got blank, but okay,
I
where
can
is
see
the
your
link?
with coding screen right now.
Uh, it's in Inception.
No, it's okay actually. For some reason, it shows normally.
Oh no, I'm confused. Which one is the window? Oh, okay. I switched the tab. Anyway, the next topic we would like to comment is this one, TurboJS, which is basically a library that allows you to use the GPU and eventually perform certain tasks much faster. Hopefully, I don't know. This sounded interesting, but I'm not sure how it works.
Uh, yeah, I think what the only thing I can come up with how it works is that it has some kind of transpiles your code into a shader and then executes it directly on GPU. So it transpiles from JavaScript to JLSL, I guess, the shader language. G, GSLS. Well, I think yeah, that was.
Oh, GLSL.
GLSL, yeah, sure, okay.
And what is GLSL? Do you know?
It's a shader language. So how you write shaders modifying pixels directly
Oh,
in
I
GPU.
see. So is this just for graphics?
Well, it's usually used for graphics, but in this case, it's used for calculation.
Yeah, I can see. Well, I think this may be interesting for people that have tasks that need to be repeated and go through lots of data. Maybe some some business intelligence map reduce tasks like that, and maybe they need to perform calculations on a bunch of data, and could use GPU, because GPU it's many CPUs into one to perform many tasks in parallel. Okay, well, moving on to the next topic. Now, there is one interesting one, debugging your DOM history using Warlon. So, Warlon JS is a library. It allows you to. I'm not sure. You comment about Warlon before, but right?
I don't think so. I don't. At least I don't remember such functionality.
Okay. No, not this one of what it allows is to debug the DOM history. Well, anyway, what it allows is to change the DOM elements in a way that I mean, see the changes of the that happen in DOM elements, and the way I see it, seems to show a log of changes.
Yeah, so it's purely for debugging purposes. You use it and it records all the changes, and then you can review them, what changed what and what went wrong when.
Yeah. Do you see a great need for these kinds of things?
Well, debugging part is always kind of fishy on JavaScript, and well, personally, maybe I did not had any use for this, but I guess there could be some instances where it's easier to debug it this way. For example, maybe with all the reactive components or stuff like that.
Does this mean you can put a breakpoint, like stop when this element has some content? No?
Not sure. It says that you can go back in history and check how website looked exactly at that time. So
okay.
Probably something like that, yes.
That's interesting. This reminds me of that other debugging extension for PHP that would record the history and would allow you to see what changed. But in this case, it's more for DOM, not JavaScript variables and things like that.
Exactly.
Well, it's something interesting that, well, if there is something that it can be useful, you may remember it one day. Okay, the next topic is also intriguing because it's about a library called holographic JS. It says that it's for those that are interested in Microsoft HoloLens, Windows holographics. I don't use Windows, so I'm not even sure what is this about. You use Windows? Are you familiar?
With HoloLens not, but basically it's a tech that would allow you to interact with 3D objects in real life, like 3D projecting and interaction with it. That's why it's so holographic, is HoloLens called or something like that. And basically what this library would allow you to do is to create these applications for this device with JavaScript. Let me maybe try to share a screen. So in reality, it's not related to browser or anything. They will be run on this device. And here is, for example, a boilerplate, a template on how to run JS code for this device. Yeah, so you probably need to build it and as a normal HoloLens application, and then provide the JavaScript sources in separate file and run them. So something like this.
Yeah, I was looking here. I don't know if it is broadcasting, but anyway, I think that this is, I don't know, do you imagine any interesting applications of holographics?
Uh, I have seen some quite interesting ones, like for level designing purposes, it was quite interesting to see how they design and edit levels in the real world, 3D and stuff like that. For architectural purposes, probably too. So not only for entertainment, maybe also for work. And recently, even I think Microsoft released an app that quite had quite good results mapping 3D objects. So basically, you go with like photographing an object from all the sides, and it would map and create 3D projection of the object. It was also kind of
Yeah, I think I
great
saw
to
that.
see.
It's like it's a 3D scanner, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So all in all,
that was interesting.
it seems Microsoft are moving to the 3D world, and you would soon be able to create applications for the HoloLens device. And sure, why not? Why not in JavaScript? And I think, yeah, they
Yeah,
want to have it with 3GS, the popular 3D manipulating uh, library. So if you know 3GS, that probably it would be much easier for you to use this.
yeah. Yes, you mentioned Help Wanted with 3JS support.
Yeah,
So they want to make this library work with 3JS.
yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense. It's the best for the 3D manipulation library for 3D
Because
manipulation.
here it says it's a C++ runtime component for hosting Windows holographics apps built in JavaScript. So I don't know. How does this work? How does this integrate with the browser? Is
It
this
does
one
not
of the things?
it does not integrate with the browser. It has nothing to do with the browser. It would run on the HoloLens
Oh,
device.
oh, HoloLens. Oh, now makes sense. It's. I was wondering if this is something that you could use on a mobile device with
No,
a
it's
browser.
specific
And so,
Windows platform for this device, and it could run on it.
yeah, but they could have some web applications working on this. If they are talking about OpenGL,
Yeah, maybe eventually HoloLens would allow web
WebGL.
applications natively too.
Okay, this is interesting. And with this, we practically ended this podcast and our monthly marathon. This is the last of the year.
Yeah,
So I wish you all Merry Christmas. Don't stuff yourself with Christmas food. It's all plus.
yeah.
You will stuff yourself with Christmas food.
Everyone would. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you also have the tradition of eating lots of types of food during Christmas?
Yes, I think not
Or
only Christmas, also New Year, and lots of eating.
yeah, but you don't look fat.
I'm working now.
Or because you are still waiting for Christmas.
Yeah, keeping
Okay,
my space.
so that's it. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy 2017, and we'll see you there in the other side
Yeah,
of
see
the
you
year,
next
of
year.
course.
Yeah,
Okay, bye.
bye.